Yo, what's going on, guys? Mush back at it with another video, and if you are into gaming at all, you're probably looking forward to the release of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth coming out later this month. Or maybe you're not looking forward to it if you're a PC-only person. Not coming to PC right away. It's a PlayStation 5 timed exclusive. Sony gonna be Sony and pay for timed exclusivity. Hate this practice from Sony. If they want to publish games and make them timed exclusive or an exclusive outright, that's one thing. They're funding the creation of the game, but Final Fantasy VII Rebirth was gonna happen regardless whether or not Sony was involved, but I digress. FF7 Rebirth will be coming out on PS5 later this month. I'm incredibly excited for it. Final Fantasy VII Remake I thought was great. I know some people weren't crazy about it, but I thought Remake was great, and I love the fact that they're changing up the story. Look, Final Fantasy VII exists already. You can buy it for sub $5 right now on Steam. You should. It's a great game, and everybody should play the original, but the fact that we're embarking on this kind of unknown journey, and that's what the end of Final Fantasy VII Remake says, the unknown journey will continue, that has me very excited. But I know for a lot of you guys, you're waiting for the PC release of the game. You can't justify spending $500 for one game, and I totally understand that. And I want to cover Final Fantasy VII Rebirth's potential release on PC. I think potential is putting it lightly. It's pretty much confirmed that the game will eventually come to PC, but there's a couple things to note. Now, a lot of this is going to be information we already know, coupled with my speculation. The game has not been officially confirmed for PC. It's coming out on this date. We don't have that yet, but we do have nuggets of information that'll give us an idea of when we can expect it. And again, there are some moving parts to this, and a little bit of speculation will be added because that's all I can do at this point. So right off the top, we know that Sony paid for 3 months of timed exclusivity, and that exclusivity window will expire May 31st of 2024. This is much less than the Final Fantasy VII Remake timed exclusivity window. That was a year. Final Fantasy XVI had a 6-month time window, and that is the thing. Some people see this 3 month of timed exclusivity. The end of the trailer said an exclusive until at least, I believe it was May 31st, and a lot of people are like, oh my god, it's gonna come out this summer. Guys, that is not the case. Really do not get too excited. And I think a lot of people are setting themselves up for disappointment, thinking that the game's gonna come out in June. Maybe it will. There's a small chance it will. However, if past is prologue, you have to look at how things were handled in the past. First of all, Final Fantasy VII Remake, they paid for 1 year of timed exclusivity. Did Final Fantasy VII Remake come out a year after its initial release on PC? No, it did not. A year after the initial release on PlayStation 4, they announced Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade, and that got Sony an even lengthier extended period of timed exclusivity for that game. I believe another 6 months was added on, and then the game came out on PC, so ultimately we had to end up waiting close to 2 years, a little bit under 2 years. I believe the final tally was like 19 or 20 months for the turnaround to PC. And even with that, the game was a timed exclusive then for the Epic Game Store. Look, I think it's complete BS that this happens, but when it's that egregious, I gotta give Square Enix some credit with what they did with the Final Fantasy VII Remake. They got timed exclusivity money from Sony for the PlayStation 4 version of the game. Then they got timed exclusivity money from PlayStation for the PlayStation 5 version of the game and the DLC. Then they got timed exclusivity money from Epic Game Store with the first release on PC, and then they released it on Steam. Bear in mind, during this whole process, they're continuing to sell the game. Look, I hate the practice of timed exclusivity, but from a Square Enix standpoint, my goodness, you just kept selling the rights to the game over and over again to these different publishers on top of selling the game to the consumer. When it gets that crazy, I honestly tip the cap to Square Enix a little bit. I'm like, alright player, fair game. If you can manage to pull that off, I gotta give you some credit, but nonetheless, that was the whole trajectory of Final Fantasy VII Remake on PlayStation 4 into 5 into PC. So when we hear about 3 months of timed exclusivity or 3 months that Sony paid for FF7 Rebirth, a lot of people are thinking, oh my god, the game's gonna come out this summer. It could potentially come out in the summer, but like I just illustrated with 7 Remake, it did not come out after the exclusivity window expired. On top of that, with the 7 Remake, they did have the element of the Intergrade DLC and the Intergrade Edition Intermission DLC that extended the timed exclusivity window. I imagine Sony came back to the table and was like, hey, we'll pay more for the exclusivity window to be extended. We know that at this point, 7 Rebirth is not going to have DLC. That's what Square Enix said. You know, they can go back on that easily if they decide, oh, we got to do this Vincent DLC, free money. Yeah, they can do that. They obviously can do that. And that could potentially happen, and they could come back to the table on Sony and extend that exclusivity window. But the fact that it is only a 3-month timed exclusivity window, obviously, I don't believe the turnaround time for Rebirth onto PC is going to be the, whatever it was, 20 months that it was on, you know, PlayStation 4 into PC. You don't have a PlayStation 6 version to release either, like you did with a Final Fantasy VII Remake. So I foresee it being much shorter than it was with Remake. I don't foresee it being, you know, the 3 months, right after the 3 months. I don't see that at all. On top of that, Final Fantasy XVI is still in development for PC and will be coming to PC. The question remains, FF16 is a very interesting one because Sony initially paid for 6 months of timed exclusivity for FF16. However, now the DLC has dropped and we do know that that exclusivity window for the DLC, the only thing we know is the exclusivity window for the DLC has now been extended until the end of 2024 because the first piece of DLC came out in December of last year and they have 1 year of timed exclusivity. So we still don't know if Final Fantasy XVI is going to come out on PC this year or if they're going to push it to 2025 and do some sort of complete edition release on PC so they can charge it for $70. We often see that. Horizon Forbidden West is about to come out on PC and they're pricing that at a premiere $60, and a big reason for that is because it includes the Burning Shores expansion. I don't know if Square Enix is going to go the route of, hey, let's release Final Fantasy XVI now, just the base game, and we'll charge $60, $70 for it, and then we'll sell the DLC separately. They could do that. I'm more inclined to think they're not going to get to that level of greedy, although they pulled what they did with Final Fantasy VII, so it wouldn't be that crazy, but I am more inclined to think that they're going to do a complete edition release in 2025, which absolutely sucks. I'd rather just get FF16, price it at like $50, and then release the DLC sometime later on, but I think they would rather sell you the entire package for like $70 in 2025. I don't know, that's just me spitballing. But why this is relevant is you would think that Final Fantasy XVI would come out first, and then you would drop Final Fantasy VII Rebirth after that, given that that has been the chronological release of these games on PlayStation. That's what I would tend to assume, but you don't know. You can release Final Fantasy VII Rebirth in like September, and then you could do Final Fantasy XVI as a complete edition in early 2025. Again, a lot of this is speculation. I'm just giving you guys the information that we know and the different directions we could go in terms of releasing these games. The final piece of clarity that a lot of people want is whether or not this game is going to be an Epic Games Store exclusive, timed exclusive, given that Final Fantasy VII Remake was. I'm inclined to think that it's not going to be an exclusive since it seems like the relationship between Square Enix and Epic Games Store in terms of offering timed exclusives, it's not really a thing anymore. Stranger of Paradise was a timed exclusive, as was Final Fantasy VII Remake, but since then, Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion is not even available on the Epic Games Store. Octopath Traveler 2, not available on the Epic Games Store. So when you're talking about Square Enix games not even being released on the Epic Games Store, I think the actual idea of FF7 Rebirth being a timed exclusive makes no sense at this point, given that you don't even have Crisis Core on the storefront anymore. And I don't know if it was a complete falling out between EGS and Square Enix. I don't think that was the case, but yeah, you would think that at the very least Crisis Core should be on the Epic Games Store, but it's not. It's only available on Steam, and I think at this point, I don't know the back-end sales numbers if Epic Games now deems FF7 not worth it from a standpoint. They probably paid a pretty penny to get that as a timed exclusive, and I don't know what the return on that was, but I don't think Rebirth, based on, you know, Crisis Core not being on the store, Octopath Traveler 2 not being on the store, timed exclusives from Square Enix not really being a thing on Epic Games recently, don't think it'll be a timed exclusive. That's my 2 cents on that. But that's going to do it for me. Again, this video was a lot of speculation, but these are the key pieces of information that we do know. Sony paid for 3 months of timed exclusivity. It doesn't mean the game's going to come out right after that window expires, but I do think that means the game is going to come out much, much quicker than Remake's turnaround time. Final Fantasy XVI is still in development. We do know that there is a timed exclusivity window for the DLC content. Square Enix has the choice of releasing the base game of FF16 or the complete edition in 2025. They could go either way with that. I'm inclined to think they'll do the complete edition in 2025. EGS exclusivity, from what I know, from what I'm gathering, seems to be off the table, given that recent Square Enix games haven't even been on the Epic Games Store, like Crisis Core, like Octopath Traveler 2. But that's going to do it for me. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comments section down below. Super excited for the game myself. A demo's available on PS5, and I certainly will be playing it on PS5, and then I'll be a sucker and buy the game again. But again, that'll do it for me. Your thoughts down below. As always, thank you for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out. Hey, what's going on, guys? Mush here again. Hope you enjoyed the video. As you guys might know, YouTube's notification system is sometimes a little bit wonky, even if you're subscribed to the channel. Maybe you're not abundantly aware that I uploaded a video. To remedy that situation, make sure you hit the bell notification button. This way, whenever I upload a new video, and I try to upload as consistently as possible, you will be notified directly of the upload, and you can watch it as soon as it goes live. I would really appreciate if you guys hit that button so you can stay up to date with all of the content I'm posting. But as always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.